So we're about 2 weeks, 3 weeks away from the NFL draft. And everything is obviously starting to pick up. We've had the combine, pro days are going on. And you're wondering who your team is going to draft. And it's kind of tough to try and predict who's going where. And I am going to be doing my mock draft, like I mentioned earlier. It'll be coming as I get closer and closer to the actual draft itself. But again, like I'm looking here, the top 10, top 15 picks. I mentioned when I was writing out my layout for tonight's episode, looking at it, I was like, should I do the 10 or should I do the 15? And as I kept writing and writing, I just ended up writing out 15 picks. So we have Carolina with one who ended up doing a trade with the Chicago Bears. So Carolina, Houston, Arizona, Indianapolis, Seattle, Detroit, Las Vegas, Atlanta, Chicago, Eagles, Titans, Houston again, the Jets, the Pats, and then you have the Packers. So looking at all these teams, like number one, obviously Carolina is going to look for a quarterback. That's what I believe. Houston's going to be the exact same thing, quarterback. Now this is where now you're getting to the questionable picks. Arizona probably going to go D-line or linebacker, maybe a wide receiver, because we don't know what's happening with DeAndre Hopkins, the trades, or the rumors of the trades, but we'll see there. But probably look to build up the defense, maybe get an offensive lineman for Kyler Murray. Indianapolis, obviously, with the past years of the Band-Aid quarterbacks, you're going to look for that. The question is now, do they draft one there? Because again, you have, like, you're expecting Stroud to go 1. I'm expecting Young to go 2. You have Anthony Richardson and then Will Levi left. Both young, talented, both need some work, but are you going to take them in the top 10? I'm expecting Indy to make a pick here. If I was Indy, or if I was the GM, I'd trade back and then see if that prospect that I'm looking at for quarterback is going to go if I do trade back. But again, I see, especially when you're looking at some of these teams that are after me who might look at a quarterback but don't really need him. So you could potentially trade back and just build or get some draft picks. But look for Indy to go either quarterback or look at quarterback, linebacker, D-line, cornerback. So we'll see that there. Seattle, they re-signed Geno. So you're going to look at building up that defense and maybe getting him an additional weapon, some protection on the O-line. Detroit, kind of in the same boat. They could potentially draft a successor to Jared Goff, but they seem pretty content with that, especially with the success that they had last season. So, like success, they played pretty well, almost made the playoffs. But again, look at the O-line, maybe shore up that defense a little bit more, get some pressure on there to go with Aiden Hutchinson. Vegas could potentially go their quarterback. They did sign Garoppolo. Maybe get an O-line, maybe get some additional weapons for their quarterback as well. Atlanta, there are talks about quarterback, but they did draft last year Desmond Ridder, who they have to give the opportunity to, who I think they saw him as a potential starter for the Atlanta Falcons. But also look at, bolstering up the offensive line for them, getting some weapons as well, because they traded away. Well, you have Drake London, who's now going to be your starter. Get an additional weapon for him at wide receiver. Get a tight end potentially. Build up that defense. Bears, get some weapons. Get an O-line for Justin, because he's definitely going to need that. But yeah, defense as well. Get those weapons for him. The Eagles at number 10, you can use a running back. Bolster up that defense as well. Get it, maybe a tight end. Look at the offensive line too. Maybe get another wide receiver. You have that all there. The Titans are next at a number 11. They could potentially look at the replacement for Ryan Tannehill. You've lost some key old linemen, so bolster up that. Get a running back, especially with talks of Derrick Henry being traded. The Houston Texans were, again, another pick. So you're looking at it here. You have potential wide receiver, D-line, linebacker. You already have your quarterback of the future. Maybe get him a weapon to help, or you can get it, bolster up that defense as well. DeMeco Ryans is the head coach. He is a former linebacker. He is a former Houston Texan. So you definitely want to maybe do one of each side. The Jets, all depends on who they're trading. We may not even see this pick for the Jets. It might even be a Packers pick. It could. We're still waiting to see what the Packers and Jets do. Maybe get some O-line. Maybe get some weapons for them. A tight end, wide receiver. Get another corner to play the side of Sauce Gardner. You have some pieces there that are good. You're there to help out with your quarterback, but we still need to wait and see what's happening. The Jets may not even be picking at 14 or at 13. 14. You have the Patriots. Get them some weapons. Get them some O-line. Build that defense. Maybe draft an offensive coordinator. Maybe that's what we're looking at here. Actually, no. Actually, when I look at it here, I believe they did draft, or not draft. They did sign a offensive coordinator, which should help. You should not have a defensive coordinator calling offensive plays in that sense. And then lastly, the Packers. We will see what happens with this. They have Jordan Love potentially. You have Aaron Rodgers. Maybe get him some weapons. The weapons that they had last year worked out well, but you did lose Lazard. But you also could build up the defense as well, get some pressure, maybe get a corner, get some linebackers, defensive line, build that up. But offensive weapons should be key here if they're keeping Aaron Rodgers, but we don't know. We may see the Packers at 13, so they may have 2 picks at once, so they could probably package those 2 picks and move up. We could see that. But those are my predictions of what they're needing, especially at 1 or whatever. But I will announce my official mock draft in about 2 weeks, looking at everything here with trades, projections. But again, if the Packers came away with 2 first-rounders, you can probably see them packaging those 2 first-rounders and moving up. Depends on how much confidence they have in Jordan Love. That's the thing, right? You want to see how he's going to play out. So it's going to be interesting. It is. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how my mock draft goes. Because again, there's still some stuff happening. So as much as the Jets are going to be at 13, it might be the Packers at 13 and 15. It could happen. But if that trade does go, probably look at the Packers bundling those up and moving it up. Because again, you get 2 first-round picks this year. You can get some nice pieces with that.